Well, hello and welcome to our program tonight. It is always so good to have you with us. We had a good crowd last week, nowhere near the record that we set the week before, but we had 145 people, had 957 non-concurrents. That means they were watching but not at the same place as everybody else. I don't know if you figured this out yet, but there's a little red bar at the bottom of your screen. If you drag that, if you get here late, you can drag that back and it'll start you back over at the beginning. You can watch the whole show actually while the chat room's going on. Now, the show will end before you get to the end of it, so the chat room may end, but that's the way to watch. And of course, you can always watch a replay later on. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. I don't know about where you are, but we are having some gorgeous weather. I mean, it was finally warmed up. My wife and I are starting to feel our age a little bit, and this winter, it was a tough winter. I was beginning to feel like I didn't have any spunk anymore, and I just didn't want to get out and do anything. That 35-degree weather was cutting to the bone, whereas before, once it gets 40 degrees, 45, I could put on a coat and I could go to work outside, but oh no, not this winter. It was just a bit nippy. But just beautiful weather, and fixing to get our garden started. In fact, we've already started. We got some seedling starters, and we've got several seedlings that are they're ready to be transplanted right now. But we've got a couple more nights of cold weather, according to the weather forecast. But I know you didn't come here to talk about gardening. We came here. Let me remind you. Next week, we're going to have the Arizona wildflowers with us again, so I hope you'll tune in for that. Great group of little young ladies that they just sing together so beautifully, and they're young and they're learning and they're coming along, but they're going to be a force to be reckoned with before long. All of them play fiddle, not in the group, but they all play fiddle, and they're all fiddle champions. I mean, these are talented ladies, and anyway, they're going to be with us next week. But let's get to the musical portion of our program tonight. I'm going to start tonight's program off with a song by one of my favorite gospel writers. His name was Albert Brumley. He wrote I'll Fly Away. He wrote Turn Your Radio On. And I had gotten to my 6th album and was still looking for material to do. And my wife and I were riding around one night, and all of a sudden we're hearing George Jones singing, "Precious Jesus, Hold My Hand." And I later did a little research, and George had gone through a conversion of a sort. We all know what a storied life he lived. I mean, everything from drug problems to alcohol problems to one problem after another. And he had finally, he and Tammy were divorced. And he was just troubled, and he married a lady, and she just took him under her wing and began to care for him. She just loved him for the good part of what he was. And they had some kind of squabble or something, and I think he got a little rough with her, and he said he walked out on the back of his property, and he said, "Lord, if you have to hit me with a sledgehammer, please deliver me from these problems that I have." Well, he was in a recording session not long. You have to be careful what you pray for. He was in a recording session not long after this, and said on his way home he stopped by the package store. And he wound up having a wreck, and it almost killed him. They had to flight him to a hospital. And he said during his recovery, he asked Vestal Goodman to come see him, have a meeting with him. And basically she became his spiritual mentor, and that was when he wound up getting saved. And when I saw him telling this story, I saw a man had such peace on his face. You could tell the experience had been real, and you never saw him in the news after this, But anyway, he goes on to record this gospel album. And Lynn and I were just looking at each other going, I can't believe we're listening to George Jones sing gospel music. And we were loving it. I mean, I loved the album. But anyway, it inspired me to do my version of this song, that great Albert Brumley song, Precious Jesus, Hold My Hand. As I travel through this pilgrim land, there is a friend who walks with me, leads me safely through the sinking sand. It is the Christ of Calvary. This would be my prayer, dear Lord, each day to help me do the best I can. For I need thy light to guide me day and night. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. I need thee every hour. Through this pilgrim land, protect me by thy power. Hear my feeble plea, oh Lord, look down on me. When I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Let me travel in the light divine, that I may see the blessed way. Keep me that I may be wholly thine, and sing redemption song someday. I will be a soldier brave and true, and ever firmly take a stand. As I onward go and daily meet the foe, blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. I need thee every hour. Through this pilgrim land, protect me by thy power. Hear my feeble plea, oh Lord, look down on me. When I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Valley dim toward the setting of the sun, lead me safely to a land of rest, if I a crown of life have won. I have put my faith in thee, dear Lord, that I may reach the golden strand. There's no other friend on whom I can depend. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. Jesus, hold my hand. I need thee every hour. Through this pilgrim land, protect me by thy power. Hear my feeble plea, oh Lord, look down on me. When I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Jesus, hold my hand. When I kneel in prayer, I hope to meet you there. Blessed Savior, hold my hand. My wife had been telling me that one of our younger grandsons, Evan, had been learning all of my songs. He just loved to listen to his grandpa singing on YouTube. And so he was visiting with us one weekend, and I hear this little voice in the back seat, and he's singing along, and we get to Why Me. Now, I have no idea he's 3 years old. How would this song speak to him, to a 3-year-old? But it apparently did. He knew all the words, he sang it, and I sat there and I'm going, wow. So I thought, you know what? I need to get him to the studio and let's record a version of this and just see what happens. So I asked him, I said, buddy, you want to go in Papa's studio and record some? Oh, yeah. So he went in and I laid a little tiny mic up on the console. And I said, now, my buddy, as you hear it, you just do like you always do and just sing. And I figured I'd have to take 4 or 5 takes of it, and kind of splice here and there. Oh, no. He goes in there like a little soldier and nails it the first time. And I realized I'm going, I could take this 100 times. At 3 years old, you don't, it's not about perfection. It's about the emotional content and how he was able to feel that part of it. But anyway, I did a little mix of that. And I said, come on, let's go in here and make a video of it. So he was all for that. We went and I put him up on a little stool and we recorded the main part of the video. And of course, when we got through, it was just, oh, Papa was feeling pretty proud right about that time, I'm going to tell you. But anyway, we went on to put this little video together, and I hope you enjoy it. My grandson, Evan, when he was 3 years old, he's about 7 or 8 now, as of the making of this video. But we're going to do you that Chris Christopherson song, Why Me, Lord? Why me, Lord? What have I ever done to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? Tell me, Lord, what did I ever do that was worth loving you for the kindness you've shown? Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I've needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hands. Try me, Lord, if you think there's a way I can try to repay all I've taken from you. Maybe, Lord, I can show someone else what I've been through myself on my way back to you. Lord, help me, Jesus, I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hands. I've wasted it, so help me, Jesus, I know what I am. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my soul's in your hands. Now that I know that I needed you, so help me, Jesus, my
soul's in your hand.
We're going to continue on with a song tonight that was written by James Milton Black in 1893. James, in his life, he was a preacher, and he would always go out and visit people, and he would talk to people on the street and what have you. And one day he met this little girl named Bessie, and she was just a young thing, teenager. And she was down and despondent and depressed because she came from a bad background and what have you. But he invited her to church, and she started coming to church. And she was there a good bit of the time. But one night he was calling the roll, and he called her name, and no one answered. And it set him to thinking about what it would be like to be in heaven and your name's called and you're not there. So he inadvertently, though, he found out that she had been sick with pneumonia, and that's the reason she was out. So he went to visit her, and sadly enough, she passed away from the pneumonia. But he went home and wrote this song, "When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there." And they sung it at her funeral. But anyway, I'm going to do our version for you tonight. It's called, "When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there."
When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair, when the saved of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. On that bright and cloudless morning, when the dead in Christ shall rise, and the glory of His resurrection share, when His chosen ones shall gather to their home beyond the skies, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all His wondrous love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. Oh, when the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there.
Tonight, for our philosophizing segment, I'm going to read to you from the book of Proverbs. Those of you that are familiar with the Old Testament know that Solomon was the son of David, and he was a very wise king. And he is credited with writing Proverbs. And I'm going to just read you the first chapter of Proverbs. We'll read from Proverbs more and more because it is such a wise book. A lot of times, some people don't realize this. We have the New Testament and we have the Old Testament. Well, the word testament is kind of like a covenant or an agreement or a statement or, So the Old Testament came from the old law, and there were some 1,500 of those laws, and people had gotten so hypocritical about this. They'd keep this 100, but they'd criticize you for not keeping this 100, and it was just going back in two. And of course, all of us like different things, so we sin in different ways. Don't criticize somebody else because they sin differently than you. You've heard me say that before. It came from a church sign somewhere. But anyway, it just became easy. Jesus got it down to two when it came to Jesus' time to teach us about things. We don't need all those commandments. All we need to do is love God and love our fellow man, and everything else will take care of itself. But anyway, so I don't often go, when somebody wants to quote me about how I'm doing this or that wrong, and they quote the Old Testament, I don't pay much attention to that because Jesus fulfilled the Old Testament, and he gave us a new covenant, a new law, a new thing to go by. So it's the words in red in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John that are important to me anyway. The rest of the Bible is important to me too, don't get me wrong. But the main dude said those words. If it's in red in those four, Jesus is the one that said that. He's the main guy. Yes, there was Paul, and there was his brother James, and there were the disciples and all that. They were not Jesus. But anyway, so there are things in the Old Testament. The Proverbs is a wise book. The Bible teaches us how to get along with ourselves. It is a book of practical knowledge. It tells us how to have common sense. A lot of what you do here on earth, you pay for here on earth. You're not going to hell because of it. You might live in hell because you do certain things, but you're not going to hell. And you've heard me use the thing about drinking or smoking or this or that. It causes health problems, but you're not going to hell. Now, you might do some stuff while you're under the influence that you might have to do some negotiating with God about. But basically, these are things. Part of being saved is being saved from yourself. It's the things that we do. The person you have the most problems with in your life, most of the time, this is not always true, but most of the time, the one you have the most problems with is the person you are looking at in the mirror while you're brushing your teeth in the morning. You cause most of your own problems, and until you understand that, and as long as you blame it on everybody else and you don't ever accept responsibility for your actions, the problems will continue to be there. But anyway, Solomon's trying to teach us how to be wise. So I'm just going to start by reading the first chapter. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. Okay. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equality, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning. I hear people, it's like they have this blind faith in the way they see things to be. Jesus teaches us to study and learn things. I don't know about you. My relationship with God has changed over the years. I don't, some things in the Bible liken it to being a young person or a babe in Christ. You're learning things. You're learning how to walk. You're learning how to talk. A lot of my early conceptions of what went on in the Bible, I don't have now. I've changed a lot of that. I've tried to become more loving. I've tried to, if God is going to love me and apply grace when he judges me, I must do that with anyone that I have an opinion of. And it took me a while to get this. In fact, this is even, I understand this better even since starting to do this show. When the Bible tells us not to judge each other, That doesn't mean we can't have an opinion of someone. What the Bible, I think, is speaking of there is spiritual judgment. We are not to sit in judgment on whether somebody's going to hell or heaven over this or that. That's for God to decide. Now, you can't help but make opinions. There are certain people that you just, for whatever reason, you don't get along with and you don't want to be around. Well, that's an opinion. That's a judgment call. But they've done things to deserve that judgment or that opinion. Let's call it opinion rather than judgment. Judgment, we think of that as the final judgment. That's going to decide whether we go to heaven or whether we go to hell, And I'm not going to sit here and try to describe to you heaven or hell. We all have our own concept of it. But I can tell you this, heaven's where you want to go, and hell is not where you want to go. Those two things I'm sure of. But anyway, let's read a little bit more. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. In other words, you won't be afraid to hear somebody else's advice, particularly if they're wiser than you are, To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. I think that's probably enough for us to think about tonight. Don't fear learning. The Bible tells us, study to show thyself approved. Look, truth will withstand scrutiny. God doesn't mind you. Listen, I argued with him for 20 years. I mean, every day of my life. I was still talking to him, but I was arguing with him. I was trying, well, how can you ask me to do this? How can you ask me to do that? Well, when God asks you to do something, he places it on your heart. It's not like having a telephone call to God, But let me remind you, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. So don't be a fool. Pick this book up and read it. Read it for yourself. You may come away with something different than I did. That's the beauty of this book. It fits the needs in our lives, and as a result, we can interpret it in several different ways. And who's to say who's right and wrong? My way seems right to me, the way that I interpret it and see it. And I've come by these feelings over time. It didn't happen overnight. A lot of reading, and a lot of times it was read to me, particularly when I was young. But you'll come to love this book. When you get past it being fire and brimstone and condemnation, and you realize what Jesus really said was we need to love each other. And we need to love God. If we get those two things right, everything else will take care of itself. Anyway, enough philosophizing for tonight. Isaiah Martin was a songwriter. He wrote as a hobby. He was born in Missouri, died in California, about 1862, I think, when he was born. Died in 1957, so he lived a good, long life. But he wrote some 200 songs. And when he was 12 years old, he joined the Baptist Church. Then in 1893, he became a Methodist and became a minister. So he was a Methodist minister. But then in 1903, he joined the Church of the Nazarene. And they had a saying when they would close their meetings and they would begin to depart. They would tell each other they would meet each other at the Eastern Gate. And one night he got thinking about that, and this tune came to him, and he wrote this song called The Eastern Gate. And of course it went on to be quite a popular song with the evangelistic crusades that were going on at that time, and was eventually put in some 45 hymnals. A lot of people recorded the song. But tonight we're going to do our version for you. I couldn't find a picture of him. As I've said on many of my other descriptions of songs, some of these older songs, it's hard to find too much about the writer or the or a picture, but there's no picture of him that I could find. But anyway, tonight we're going to do our version for you, and it's called The Eastern Gate.
The morning, just inside the eastern gate. Then be ready, faithful pilgrim, lest with you it be too late. I will meet you, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you. I will meet you in the morning over there. If you hasten off to glory, linger near the eastern gate. For I'm coming in the morning, so you'll not have long to wait. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning over there. Keep your lamps all trimmed and burning, for the bridegroom watch and wait. He'll be with us at the meeting, just inside the eastern gate. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning over there. That glad meeting with the saints who for us wait. What a blessed happy meeting, just inside the eastern gate. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning, just inside the eastern gate over there. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning. I will meet you in the morning over there. I will meet you in the morning over there.
This next song that I'm going to do for you is one of those great inspirational songs. It was written in the last 50 years, so it's not one of the old oldies, but it's old enough. It's been recorded over 200 times already, and it was written by Mary John Wilkins and Chris Christopherson. It won Song of the Year in 1975 in the gospel arena. And it just, oh, and by the way, she was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame that year. Mary John Wilkins was a songwriter in Nashville, and she had worked with Stonewall Jackson and Jimmy Dean, among others, but had become quite wealthy in the process. But when she wrote this song, she did a piece of work. It's called One Day at a Time.
I'm only human, I'm just a man. Help me believe in what I could be, and all that I am. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Do you remember when you walked among men? Well, Jesus, you know, if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Pushing and shoving, right in my mind. So for my sake, Lord, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus, that's all I'm asking from you. Just give me the strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus, and tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time. Lord, help me today, show me the way, one day at a time.
I just want to take a minute and explain to you about our request show. It has become quite popular, but the problem that I have is I get a lot of requests for songs that I don't know, and it's impossible the way that I record and make videos. There's no possible way to do 5 or 10 new songs a week. It can't be done. I don't think I could do one new song a week and have it videoed and all that kind of stuff. So we're left to choose from the pool of songs that I have a list right below in the Show More section. You'll see a list of the available songs at present, and I'll keep adding to it. And you can request songs other than that, but please don't be disappointed if I can't do them, because I may or may not ever get to record them. There's so many people that have requested songs for me to record now. I don't know if I'll ever get them all recorded. So be safe. Request the songs in the Show More section. And we'll get to that request show first Friday of every month. This next song I'm going to do for you tonight was a song that was written by Johnson Oatman at the turn of the century. And Johnson wrote some 3,000 songs, gospel songs in his lifetime. He felt like that was his calling. And my wife kept wanting me to do this song, and I liked the song okay, but I don't know that I would have picked it as early as I did, but it wound up on my Lord Build Me a Cabin in the Corner of Gloryland CD, and I'm glad I recorded it because a lot of people have liked this song. But it's a song that, if we, sometime at night, instead of counting sheep, if we would count our blessings, we might sleep a little bit better. Sometimes we tend to complain more than we thank God for our blessings. But I can just tell you, at 75, I wake up every morning, I thank God for one more day. But anyway, if we would learn to be thankful instead of complaining all the time, you'd be surprised how that alone will change your outlook on life, and it'll give you a better life. But we're going to do our version of this great old song for you tonight. It's called Count Your Blessings.
When upon life's billows you are tempest tossed, when you are discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what the Lord has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Are you ever burdened with a load of care? Does the cross seem heavy you are called to bear? Count your many blessings, every doubt will fly, and you will be singing as the days go by. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. When you look at others with their land and gold, think that Christ has promised you his wealth untold. Count your many blessings, money cannot buy your reward in heaven nor your home on high. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. So amid the conflict, whether great or small, do not be discouraged, God is over all. Count your many blessings, angels will attend, help and comfort give you to your journey's end. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done.
For those of you who enjoy these great old gospel songs, I've put together a complete collection of all 6 of my gospel albums on 3 CDs. Most of the songs we'll be doing on the Friday Night Sing-Along are contained in this collection. There are 2 complete albums on each CD, and this collection also contains a book with the words and the chord changes I use to play each of the 62 songs. Perfect for those that like to sing and play along. Just go to our website, www.birdyeomans.com, and click the My Music Store tab, and this special offer will be at the top of the page. You can also email us directly if you prefer, and that address is linda@birdyeomans.com. You'll also find my individual CDs as well as DVDs of the Friday night sing-along episodes. Now let's get back to some of that great old-time gospel music. For our last song tonight, I'm going to do a song for you that's on my I've Got Some Big Shoes to Fill CD. In another episode, I tell you about how Josh Turner wrote this song. But he said he was in, I believe it was Alabama. Anyway, it was at a performance one night. And he said that some lady came up to him and said, "Josh, I've got to tell you something." She said, "I was hooked on antidepressants and pills that tried to make me feel better because I was depressed all the time." And she said, "One night I was just about fixing to take that whole bottle of pills." And she said, "Your song, Long Black Train, came on the radio." And she said, "I began to realize I was riding the wrong train. I needed to get off of that train." And she said, "I got rid of my pills." And she said, I'm actually feeling better now, and I'm not as depressed as I was." And she said, "It's all because of your song." She said, "I was fixing to take those pills until I heard that song." So it has to be rewarding as a songwriter to hear somebody come up and tell you that about a song that you wrote. You saved their life because you wrote a song. And I know one thing, a lot of people love this song because back when I was performing, I had to do it every time I played. But it's that great Josh Turner classic. We're going to wind up for you with it tonight. It's called The Long Black Train.
There's a long black train coming down the line, beating off the souls that are lost and crying. Rails of sin, only evil remains. Watch out, brother, for that long black train. Look to the heavens, you can look to the sky. You can find redemption staring back into your eyes. There is protection and there's peace the same. Burn in your ticket for that long black train. 'Cause there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name, and don't go riding on that long black train. There's an engineer on that long black train, making you wonder if the ride is worth the pain. He's just waiting on your heart to say, let me ride on that long black train. 'Cause there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name, and don't go riding on that long black train. Well, I can hear the whistle from a mile away. It sounds so good, but I must stay away. That train is a beauty, making everybody stare. Its only destination is the middle of nowhere. 'Cause there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name, and don't go riding on that long black train. I said cling to the Father and His holy name, and don't go riding on that long black train. Yeah, watch out, brother, for that long black train. That devil's a-driving that long black train. Yes, there's victory in the Lord, I say. Victory in the Lord. Cling to the Father and His holy name, and don't go riding on that long black train. Yeah, watch out, brother, for that long black train. That devil's a-driving that long black train.
Thank you so much for being with us. Just always a joy to sit here and sing and chat with you and have Christian fellowship. It's just, Friday night has just become a wonderful thing for me. I spent so many years on the road. I was what they call a road dog. I loved playing music. I was always out there in one group or another or whatever, and then I finally went solo about 20 years ago, and I did solo work. And shortly after going solo is when I started doing Christian music. And once I'd made that turn, I could never turn back. That was just my calling, and I knew it. But my memory got to playing little tricks on me, and all of a sudden it was like, this performance is not as much fun as it used to be, because you're standing there scared to death, and now you're solo. There's nobody to look at and blame the mistake on. It's you. So it got to where I had to give that up. And so I took about 7 or 8 years sabbatical and built wood things and did some wood projects, built my studio and what have you. But then all of a sudden this YouTube thing appeared, and here we are able to do this again without having to travel. And if I forget my words, I can do it again. And you don't get to see the tape where I messed up with my words, So it's like, God blesses us in so many ways. Somebody was thanking me this past week in one of the comments for doing what I do. Well, let me thank you for enjoying what I do and giving me a reason to keep doing this. So when you're blessed, I am blessed. That's the way it works in the world. If you bless others, you will be blessed by that action. It is more blessed to give than receive. So much truth in the Bible. Oh, man. I could go on about that, and I will. But I'm trying to tell you the good things about Jesus' philosophy, But anyway, I need to let you go for tonight. If you're interested in any of the CDs or the book, my website is www.birdyeomans.com. And of course, Linda's always glad to help you with any questions or whatever. Her email address is linda@birdyeomans.com. I love you. Be kind to each other this week. I'll see you next Friday night.
he'd reached the end of life's journey. But he'd been holding to God's hand a long, long time. And as I knelt beside his bed, my heart was thrilled at what he said. If I go or if I stay, the victory is mine. I'm a winner either way. If I go or if I stay, for I'll still have my Jesus each passing day. I'll have my healing here below, or life forever if I go. Oh, praise the Lord, I'm a winner either way. None of us really knows about tomorrow. We must prepare to go to heaven any day. But while we're here, let's trust the Lord. He'll lead us safe to our reward, and by His grace we'll be a winner either way. I'm a winner either way. If I go or if I stay, for I'll still have my Jesus each passing day. I'll have my healing here below, or life forever if I go. Oh, praise the Lord, I'm a winner either way. I'm a winner either way. If I go or if I stay, for I'll still have my Jesus each passing day. I'll have my healing here below, or life forever if I go. Oh, praise